So why is Steve Mnuchin, the foreclosure king of California, who almost got prosecuted for throwing people out of their homes back in 2008, why is he being given, or why does Mitch McConnell want to give him, and Donald Trump wants to give him, $500 billion that he can give away to anybody he wants with no accountability, no oversight, and literally no ability for the American people to know how this money was spent? Why? Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Well, first of all, I got an email this morning from the White House. Of course, I get them pretty much every day. They've got, I'm getting two kinds of email. I'm on the Trump campaign list, as you know, ever since I gave Trump $5 way back in 2015. Every day or every other day, I get, an appeal begging for money, and those never mention the coronavirus. It's like it doesn't even exist. So it's pretty amazing, actually. And then the other one is I get the daily White House thing that goes out to the press. Excuse me, sneezing here. Did you know sneezing is not a symptom of the coronavirus? So when I sneeze, that's good news, right? Okay, so anyway, the Congress, the Senate, what Mitch McConnell has done. Mitch McConnell is trying to get this $1.8 trillion. They're up to $2 trillion now. You'll recall, last Wednesday, I think it was, when Congressman Pocan was on, I said I think it's going to take $14 trillion over an 18-month period. It's basically we're going to have to float the entire economy, or large chunks of it, maybe 10 trillion. Well, they're moving in that direction, 1.8 trillion. But what McConnell wanted to do was have a stimulus package or a bailout package, whatever you want to call it. They're calling it a stimulus package. What McConnell wanted to do was have this in a way that $500 million of the money would simply be given to Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, the Treasury Secretary, the guy who was formerly the foreclosure king out in California, the one that Kamala Harris could have prosecuted but decided not to at the last minute. In any case, what McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate want to do is give $500 billion to Steve Mnuchin and let him give it to anybody he wants without it ever being reported to the American people. The information would be classified. It would be top secret who gets the money. And these are like grants and loans, a combination of both and all this kind of stuff. And there's very, very little for working people in there out of this 1.8 trillion. So it's gotten stopped, and the email I got from the White House today was Democrats block forward movement, or words to that effect, progress on repairing our economy. Well, it's not, and in fact, there have been reports of people, Democrats, going on TV and having TV commentators say, "Why are you blocking this money?" And they're like, "We're not blocking the money. The Republicans are not offering it in a way that's acceptable. It's not our fault." But over at the Fed, they've actually done something that, and they've already done it. It's why the market opened up this morning. It's why it's bouncing around right now, probably in the, it's down 751 points right now, but it had been bouncing around, 200, 300 points, only 200 to 300 points down because of what happened, what the Fed did. The Fed said that they will make up to $4 trillion in loans to businesses. And the way that they're doing this is they're buying corporate bonds. Now, this is largely big business. Your business is probably not large enough to issue a bond. But the Fed is buying these corporate bonds, which essentially is loaning money to these businesses. And up to $4 trillion. Steve Mnuchin said Sunday, he said, working with the Federal Reserve, we'll have up to $4 trillion of liquidity we can use to support the economy. These are broad-based lending programs. We can leverage our equity working with the Federal Reserve. And he said this will go through in the next 90 to 120 days. They're also, now in this legislation, in the Senate legislation, they want to have small business retention loans aimed at helping companies keep workers on their payrolls. Well, wait a minute. If the business has no income, you're going to give them a loan to keep people on their payrolls. Why not do what most other countries are doing and simply give them the cash to keep the people on the payrolls and have the federal government eat it? I mean, they also want to have enhanced unemployment insurance, all good stuff, but you know, it's really half of what we need. We need to be, for every small business, for every business in America, actually, we need to be saying, whatever your payroll is, we will give you that if you have to lay people off because of coronavirus. Whatever your payroll is, we will give you that until you can reopen. That's what we need to be doing. And that's going to cost $10 trillion over the next year. But that's what it's going to take to keep these small and medium-sized businesses in particular from failing. I'm not so concerned about the giant businesses, you know, failing or not failing. That will always open up a possibility for, you know, smaller competitors and other people to come into the marketplace. Although for a while it'll probably just be a feeding frenzy on Wall Street. But I am concerned about their workers. You know, I don't care if the airlines go down in flames, but I want the flight attendants and pilots and people who clean the planes and people who make the food for the planes and everything else. I want them to continue getting a paycheck. And if we have to channel that through those corporations during this crisis, fine. You know, but you know, we need to do this in a way that makes sense rather than creating a $500 billion slush fund for Steve Mnuchin and Donald Trump to presumably bail out the Trump properties.